Hello guys, welcome back to Dos Libertads, and here's Titty Hunter.
Today we're going to be talking about the 2000 Libertad. Stay tuned.
Your winner by unanimous decision, and still World Heavyweight Champion of the World, the Mexican Libertad! Ladies and gentlemen, your host, Titty Hunter!
So it's been a while since the last video, the 99 video. Was out of commish for a week or so. Some type of virus. My throat was killing me one day last week, and then body was hurting for the rest of the days. But we're back. And during the past week or so, a lot of people are talking about this 2025 Libertad, a tribute round from Intaglio Mint. So just to show you here, I don't have it. This is actually an old tribute round. I think it came out last year or late the year prior. Basically, Intaglio Mint made it. It was a tribute round to the Libertad. There's no year on it. Their obverse side is completely different. This is kind of what it looks like. So when I started collecting in 2021, as I mentioned several times, and even back then, all types of tribute rounds were getting made. 2021, there was like 5 or 6 different varietals of Centenario tribute rounds, and then there's been Caballito tribute rounds, and just like endless tribute rounds. But this is the one that everyone's been buzzing about, minted by Intaglio Mint, and this one's a bit different. And what comes into play here is kind of like intellectual property. And so a lot of these tribute rounds, you could say it is intellectual property because they're kind of taking like symbols and imagery that been on a Mexican coin. So something could be said about that. But the one nuance in this one in particular that just draws a lot of attention is that on the reverse side where the angel is, you got that M mint mark, which is huge intellectual property in terms of the Mexican mint. Like, you haven't seen till now, like I said, I've seen at least over a dozen different types of tribute rounds and medals and things of that nature throughout the years, but none of them until now have had this M mint mark. And so Intaglio Mint, it's not that you just go around minting their own rounds, own coins, things of that nature. You can commission them. And so I first heard this from someone else out of Mexico. They told me it was kind of a rumor that's spreading down there. And if you think about it, it has some credibility, at least in my eyes. One, because of the timing. That all this talk about since that BS Black Swan article of 300 mintage that magically overnight changed it to 500 mintage. And then, you got the timing of this tribute round from Intaglio Mint coming out. So what this leads me to believe is that the same people responsible for playing the games with what I believe is they paid somebody under the table to get the trial strikes of 2025s in their hands and then go around telling this story that we all keep hearing about, the 300 mintage or 500 mintage or whatever you want to say. But the timing is just perfect. And Intaglio can't be that dumb that they're going to like, oh yeah, let's just mint this coin that someone's commissioning to us. You got to believe it's a decent probability that the people that own the intellectual property to that M mint mark commissioned this coin and are profiting off this hysteria in some way. I mean, it's a rumor. I obviously don't have no proof, but it sounds realistic to me. And I mean, there's some people trying to cause hysteria by saying, oh, it looks so realistic. You can't tell it apart from the real thing, but that's absolute cap. I mean, for one, this is the 39 millimeters instead of the standard 40 millimeters. And on the obverse side in the center, going in clockwise, it says Libertad Tribute Intaglio Mint right above the current coat of arms on the obverse side. So, I mean, I don't think anyone's trying to trick anyone as trying to pawn it off as the real thing. But like I said, I think it's possible that the same people responsible for playing this game they're playing with the 300/500 mintage are probably the same people that had this commission and are profiting on this end as well. Something else I was ruminating about over the weekend. Um, I also collect comics. I collect cards. Nothing crazy. Nothing like Mexican numismatics per se. But and so I keep tabs on what's going on in these hobbies. I mean, I think a lot of you heard all about Pokemon cards, a lot of like rare sports cards going for big bucks and whatnot. And my best friend, he's actually in the card industry, very involved in it. And just the vision of the folks that are here expanding the hobby and the collaboration they're doing with folks is just really helping their hobbies grow by leaps and bounds versus what I see in Mexican numismatics. I think when you go around hyping up um, a major release like a 2025 Libertad looking to rip people off, essentially, I mean, that's just a bad look. That's not the right vision. What you're seeing here on the screen right now, this is company card called Card Vault. They've been around for like 5 years or so, and recently they partnered with Tom Brady. Tom Brady's now, I believe, he's a very sizable owner in this company, and the company since then has grown by leaps and bounds. So this is kind of like the type of vision you want to have when you want to expand your hobby. And I mean, this isn't just like an isolated case. I don't know if you folks that are collecting cards, Mr. Wonderful Kevin O'Leary, he's also gotten into the card collecting world. He's been in this hobby now for a little bit. And he was just involved, him and some partners, with acquiring a card, rare upper deck exquisite card from years ago for $12.6 million. So, this is the type of vision you want to have when you're looking to expand the hobby. Ripping off your collector base is not the way to do that. I mean, you got to think more like a visionary, not like a used car salesman. You think, Mexican numismatics, maybe you want, just as an example, maybe you want Canelo Alvarez involved. Maybe you want him being a part owner in a coin shop. And not even that, if you don't even want to go that far. You have him market some Libertads, and I mean, that would be really great for the hobby. This is the type of vision you want to have. Ripping people off with these sketch articles and non-official stats and overcharging people. That's not the way to grow a hobby. So now let's talk about the 2000 Libertad. So now, last video, the 99 video, we talked about how on the obverse side, that mule showed up, and the mule was kind of the preview of the new obverse side, where you have the most recent coat of arms in the center, and then all the historic coat of arms surrounding it. So this is what's to remain. What you're seeing here on the screen is kind of the chart from the years to come. So now we're basically, for the years to come into present day, you have a reeded edge. You have on the reverse side, the angel side, you have basically the font coming across the top in clockwise fashion, all uppercase. The coins are to be 40 millimeters, and then the upper side, the current coat of arms surrounded by 10 historic coat of arms. And then the only change you'll see is that the two antique varietals that showed up in 2018 and 2019. Otherwise, this is kind of the look of the Libertad from 2000 to present day. Looking at the mintage for the 2000, it ranks at number 10 in terms of scarcity, but it's ranking 10 considering that there was a three-way tie between 96, 2006, and 2020. So you have that three-way tie, and it comes in at number 10. It wouldn't be top 10 if you just said 9, 10, 11, and 12, but it's almost there. That three-way tie was at a mintage of 300,000, and the 2000 is 340,000. So not that far off, and still pretty much considered low mintage. Let's take a look at the graded populations. First, looking at NGC. there are 838 graded coins for the year 2000 at NGC. Top pop is a 70. There's 4 of those. Keep an eye on this 70. Something interesting I want to talk about shortly, but there's 4 70s for 2000. 2001, there's already 1 there. Down here in 2004, you got 1. 2005, you have 3. So something interesting, curious that's been happening. And these 70s did not exist just a couple of years ago at NGC. So there's 838 total, top pop 70 over at NGC. If we move over to PCGS, you have 452 total graded coins for the year 2000 at PCGS. But there are no 70s at PCGS. So although a lot of us consider NGC stricter grader for Mexican coins, what is interesting is that it's kind of loosened up. And in particular, you see it for these year 2000 coins. What do you see here for the PCGS population? In the year starting year 2000, you don't see a 70 until 2009. That's the first year you really see a graded 70 on the PCGS side. Yet on the NGC side, we have 4 70s for the year 2000, 170 for 2021, 2001, that is. 2004, you have a 70. 2005, you have 3 70s. 2009, you have 3 70s. And we just talked recently about 2010. 2010, it was earlier this year, had about 30 70s. And now you have 200 of them. So remember what I keep highlighting. For most years, less than 1% of the mintage has been graded. And why that is important? Because of the example of 2010. At the turn of a dime, somebody could do a bulk submission, and out of nowhere, the population on the top pop just explodes, and then values really start to fluctuate. Before we look at sold comps for the year 2000, I wanted to highlight something in terms of sold comps that piqued my interest, just because not too long ago, we talked about the 1998 die chip / Crowned Eagle variety. And I just happened to have these on watch. And what drew my attention, there was an MS65 die chip allegedly sold on August 17th. It's the second entry here for $2,025. And then I just, because I have a saved search for die chip and other type of naming conventions, it showed up again. And I'm not going to click through because it'll waste a lot of time, loading the pictures and everything. But it is the same exact seller. It is the same exact coin. And it showed up again for sale. But that initial sale stuck. It shows up as like a sale. Like typically, I've seen it where if the sale doesn't stick and it kind of gets canceled, it vanishes from here. So I'm not sure what exactly happened here. I believe eBay might still have that second chance offer, but I don't think that was the case, because this second entry showed up as a brand. Like it popped up in my saved searches. It showed up as a new item for sale. It was in buy it now or best offer, and then it sold. And the interesting is that it's a 7-day gap in between. Now I'm very interested to see what's going to happen. The 31st will be 7 days from the 24th. So it'll be very interesting if we see this up again. But now you got to be careful. It makes you think, when I look, when you, I, or anybody else is looking at sold comps, you want a good sample size. Because if you see these games with these one-off listings here, you might get the wrong idea and think, hey, that's a new high valuation. So I think folks are cognizant that people are looking at sold comps and they're playing these types of games to paint the tape. So how exactly do you sell the same coin twice on 2 different dates? It is, if you click through these, you could do the search yourself, click inside of them. It is the same exact coin. So folks are playing games. So taking into consideration that folks appear to be playing games, as we're now looking through these sales comps, you want to, this is an easy coin to gather, kind of like the going rate, the going price, but it does become more difficult for the really low mintage stuff, and that's more prevalent on the proof side. So not really to get too concerned about, unless of course you are talking about like that 98 die chip, then maybe the 99/2000 mule that we talked about on the last video. Yeah, it's more difficult to find out what is an appropriate comp. But for more of these common coins where everyone's collecting, they're either trying to build out a slab set or they're trying to fill in a Dansko album, you're going to get a good sample size. You're going to start to see this last one, August 24th, went for $81. That's a quarter ounce, doesn't count. That's a colorized variety. Quickly talk about these colorized things. They're pretty, but they lose their numismatic value. When you go to resell it, you don't have liquidity because there's not that many people looking for this thing. So you might not get the value of what you paid out for it. Here we have an example of a PCGS MS 69 that sold a couple days ago for $364. Here's another 1 ounce raw, $95. Another 1 ounce raw, $100. And you start to get an idea of what these coins go for. Another one back on August 13th, $91. So we're starting to kind of establish the range of what the comps have been in the last couple weeks.
Click that subscribe button for more data-driven coin analysis.